occasionally have conversations about whether he wants to go to university, and he is really concerned about not wanting to end up with 45k plus debt. And I'm quite concerned because the thing is, these kids were told, go to university, don't worry, you won't have to pay the loan off until you're earning big money, and you will earn big money. Yeah. And the problem is that they're not. No. So they've been sold an absolute pup, haven't they? And they worked hard, and they got their degree, and a lot of them are no better off than they would have been.
Are you seeing this as like a PPI thing?
They should,
You've been missold your education.
Well, to an extent, yes.
You know, I mean,
but it is, you know, but isn't always the way. Get an education, you get a better job, that sort of thing.
But it used to be the way. When fewer people went to university, having a degree was at a premium, and it did guarantee you, on the whole, a really good job. But now so many people have a degree. Of course, the currency has gone down.
There's a feature today that, you know, we've got too many graduates in law and not enough jobs in law. And one of the reasons, obviously, is that most of the law firms out there are now invented by the government out of using Peter Pan and Tinkerbell. I mean, it's...
No, it's a shame. I actually feel sorry for the students, because I was once a student, but I went to musical theatre college. Yeah. But I had to audition for a dance and drama award, so mine was paid for. Yeah, you know what I mean? So I can't imagine what they were going through, seeing them letters come through their door.
But it seems to me like the people I know who went to, because I left school at 16, didn't do any of that, the people I know who went to uni who don't have debt are the people who worked during the break when I were at university.
Yeah, I know a lot of students that will kill themselves working.
It looks like the answer's there if you just want to get off your bottom and go and do some work.
Okay. What else have you got?
What else? The Guardian. Facebook reveals experiment to control emotions. I know. It says here, Facebook already knows whether you are single or dating, the first school you went to, and whether you like or love Justin Bieber. But now Facebook, the world's biggest social network site, is facing a storm of protest after it revealed it had discovered how to make users feel happier or sadder with a few computer keys.
It was an experiment, though, of over 600,000 people who didn't know, by all accounts, they were being experimented on. But it's, I mean, say experiment. I mean, all Google did is they changed the quantity of... If you had a lot of positive stories coming through from your friends, from news feeds or whatever, they changed it so you got fewer positive stories, and surprise, surprise, people became less positive. And then, conversely, they started pumping out, you know, more negative stories into people, and they became more negative. I mean, it's...
But if it's based on your first school and everything, that's based on...
Oh, no, that's just stuff they know about you.
But I was going to say, but that's based on the assumption that you've been truthful when you've put that down. And I think a lot of people, because I certainly do, I lie on these sort of things. I put down nonsense. I went to Oxford.
But, but the notion that they can and have manipulated the feeds that you receive on your site...
For what ends, though?
To find out whether or not they can manipulate you successfully or not.
For advertising purposes. And they found out they can,
Right. Yeah, as though they would say, to better tailor your Facebook experience to the individual.
Right.
Yeah.
But have you ever noticed an advert on Facebook?
I don't go on Facebook, so I don't know if
I've never ever seen an advert on Facebook.
They are there.
Well,
I know they're there, but...
Well, they're like in the corner.
Yeah, but they have no impact on me whatsoever.
That's possibly because maybe there's nothing you want to buy, so they're not, you know...
Yeah, maybe.
No. OK. Anyway, but they do exist. They do exist. Screechy's just telling me in my ear she gets lots of adverts for catheters. Right.
But I think that's long there anyway.
Yeah, I think anything that's done surreptitiously or without people knowing is suspect.
You know what I get ads for whenever I open my computer? Senior dating. How depressing is that? I just turn my computer off now and go away.
Maybe you're part of the experiment. They just bombard you.
So if you were ever single again, that's what happened to you, man.
I'll bear that in mind. It's never going to happen, though, Larry.
Good, I'm glad to hear it.
Your third story then, Sterling?
Yeah, right. Bear with me. I cannot pronounce this word. Oh, gosh. Morpurgo.
Oh, no, Michael Morpurgo, yes.
Oh, thank God, Matthew. Thanks for that. Teachers should cry in class. Like, should teachers cry in class in front of pupils? Me, personally, I think that's ridiculous.
But it depends if they're reading a really sad story.
Then go outside.
Then go outside.
Open the door.
But then how would children learn to express their emotions? How will they be able to cope with Facebook manipulating their emotions if they don't know real emotions?
If a teacher had cried at my school, they'd have got butchered.
Yes.
I'm telling you now.
Absolutely, chink in the armour.
Slaughtered.
That's it.
That's the end of your career, quite frankly, at my school.
Maybe it depends. I don't know if Michael Morpurgo is being age-specific, but maybe to children of 9 or 10, seeing a teacher cry could be a very positive thing. Could it not?
At that age, kids might panic. and think, what's going
Well,
on?
if you're reading a sad story.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it says here. Teachers should let themselves cry in class when reading poignant, what's that word?
Poignant, yeah.
Poignant stories
Meaningful
to help teach children that books matter.
They will panic. If the teacher starts crying, they'll go, that's the end of the lesson, we're going to have to start washing cars again. That's what's going to happen.
Oh, I think Michael Morpurgo's... I mean, I take the point. It depends on... If the kids are older, they are going to rip them, Michael. But by and large, I think to show that a book can move you to the point of tears is very powerful, isn't it?
Nah.
It's powerful, but I think teachers should show some form of sensitivity to the class, but not too much. Don't be crying in front of me.
But it's like,
Let me get the objectives.
As a parent, I have often wondered about whether I should ever cry in front of my children, because there have been times, frankly, when, you know, it's been quite tough emotionally, and it's difficult to know, because if you do cry in front of them, what really worries them. It scares them.
I hear a phone-in coming
But if you
on.
don't cry in front of them, they don't understand the full impact of what's happening, and they don't understand. So I don't know what you should do, really.
Right, what we're doing is a phone-in tomorrow. That's solved.
Okay.
But
That's
what you're
solved.
forgetting is that you're British and you must maintain decorum at
You
all
see,
times.
that's the bit where that's the bit I think Michael Morpurgo's addressing, is that we've got to be very careful that we just the British stiff upper lip, hide all emotions, doesn't do any of us any good in the long run. That we'd all be better off being a little bit more honest and open about our emotions. Facebook, please take note, honest about our emotions. That would be a good thing. We'd know where we all stood.
But I think there's a time and place where you can, you know, just ease a little bit. See, vulnerability, then the kids start walking over.
But they're not talking about making your teacher... I mean, the only teachers I saw that cry were made to cry by some of the boys at school. That's not what you want to see. But I'd imagine right down it reading something like Black Beauty, and it's very sensitive, the poor little horses suffering, and you think, oh...
Haven't teachers got enough to do now about having to program in when they cry?
Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what I mean? A bit more for the timetable.
I bet watching heavy films with you two, you sit
12:30,
there...
I've got a brief sob on.
Oh, no, when I read the last Harry Potter book to my son, and I wept through the last bit, he said, "You're making the book wet." Really sad.
You were crying, and he was...
No.
OK, maybe I've learnt my lesson there. OK, one last one from you?
Yes, the last one. The mail, the secret of a happy marriage. I don't know, I'm not married. I am married to music, but not to a lady yet. Sleep naked.
Yeah. As I was saying only, 2 weeks ago on this show, we were talking about pyjamas, what kind of idiot still wears gym jams? The answer was most of the people that watch the right stuff wear gym jams.
Listen, I love pyjamas. You know, it's comfortable.
Yeah, but it's not... Bed isn't about being comfortable. Relationships are comfortable in your own skin and in your partner's skin.
What do you think about electric blankets, then? You
I like
anti-electric?
electric
I do
blankets.
too.
I like
But that's an age thing, I think.
Yes.
Well, age and a bit
Yes,
dangerous
I
to
think
sleep naked and have an electric blanket.
What do you do in the summer, though?
I sleep naked on
in
top
the
of the duvet.
On top of the duvet.
Yeah.
Do you do that thing, though, that do you kind of
It's getting
cuddle...
incredibly personal.
No, I'm just saying, in the hot weather, slightly off top, but do you cuddle the duvet?
I cuddle the pillow.
All right.
I have a cuddle pillow.
But you don't do it when you've got the duvet over you, do you? But
No.
you need that kind of... It's weird, isn't it?
It is weird.
It is weird.
It is
I was
weird.
just checking.
Am I blushing yet? Can you see beneath this pancake?
So you sleep naked in bed?
I sleep naked. Mrs. Wright has to sleep naked because I won't let us go to sleep in any other shape or form.
Oh, that's
part of the marital
that's-
contract in my house, Larry.
That's very even-handed of you.
Yeah. Huh? Right.
Oh, yeah.
Now that's the right
Cock of the hill in my house. What are you doing getting into bed? Take those knickers off now. It's back to the sofa for you, Mrs. Wright.
All of this
You're
should
being
be-
naughty. You're being
No,
naughty.
this is in the context of I've met your mother,
Yeah,
and
oh
she's
my-
no walkover.
No, she's
and
not
I
a
would
walkover.
suspect that your wife,
She's like
who
you,
I know,
but taller.
well, not much taller, and I would have said your wife isn't a walkover either.
No, she's
so
not a walkover.
There
But
we are.
she does what she's told her.
I doubt it. I very much doubt it.
I'm killing you for this.
What about the dog? Where does the dog sleep?
The dog sleeps between the two of us, but only when I get him at 4 o'clock in the
but
morning.
does he
He's
sleep
allowed an
naked?
hour.
Do you make him take his
He's
fur off?
naked.
He has to take his
Everybody's
fur
naked
off.
in my house.
Shave the dog every night before he gets there.
So you're
You're
not
in trouble, Sterling. You're in trouble.
Sorry.
Right, so move on, Larry, please, quickly.
Okay. Yeah,
be
sorry,
a long
I'm
week.
tempted to carry it on, but I won't. Okay. Blair ministers tell of lobbying by Charles on schools and GM crop, says today's Guardian. This is following a documentary on Radio 4 yesterday, talking about Prince Charles and his kind of unofficial role as a campaigner as the Prince of Wales. And various government, people who are in the Tony Blair government have talked about how the Prince of Wales lobbied them on things like GM food and grammar schools. And David Blunkett is quoted
Homeopathy
saying,
as well.
Yeah. But we know he has enthusiasms. Yeah. And the question is, you know, he's not elected, he's not our monarch, he doesn't have any...
He's not supposed to espouse political views,
No,
is he?
he isn't. And therefore, should he be doing this? Well, I think we only have to look at, you know, he lobbied David Blunkett on grammar schools to absolutely no effect. So I think it's probably he goes in for these meetings and they nod and say, oh, yes, and they just ignore everything he said, in which case I don't see the problem.
Do you know what, Larry? I think that's a brilliant interpretation of the story as it's presented. I think you've absolutely struck the nail firmly on the head there. He goes around. Whether he should be saying these things is a matter of debate, but the effectiveness of them appears to be zero, doesn't it, really?
Yeah.
We don't have much homeopathy on the NHS. Grammar school situation hasn't changed. No.
So, shall we move on?
Yeah.
OK, this is from today's Telegraph. Children made to watch as couple who married for love have throats slit. This is an absolutely appalling story from Pakistan. A couple who, he was 31, she was only 17, but anyway, they fell in love and they married for love. Because she in particular, married for love, her family, it appears, decided that this was a matter of family honour.
They opposed the match.
They told the couple, oh, we're fine with the marriage, come to the village, and you know, come to the village. They are apparently drugged, and then in front of their children, they are then killed with knives by her family, it is alleged. Members of her family have been arrested for this. This is the latest in a series of attacks, often on women. In this case, obviously, the man and the woman were both killed. But it's just absolutely barbaric, isn't it? You know, just, I suppose, the idea of honour killing, meaning that you should kill a member of your own family.
I think there was an attempt to remove the children. I think her father insisted they stay.
Because they had to learn what would happen if you went against the family honour. Shocking, isn't it? Really shocking. Of course, we are running up to the summer holiday period when a lot of British young people, young girls, will be taken abroad for arranged marriages. We should remember that.
The law's been changed, but how effective it will be, we shall see.
Yeah, really, and that's very worrying. So anybody who knows that might happen, please do something about it. Don't let that happen to these young girls. A public school called Stowe, you may have heard of, £33,000 a year it costs to send your child to Stowe. And that's our tax income. So you've got to clear 50, 60, haven't you, to get one child to Stowe. Well, they have girls in the sixth form, and there's been a leaked email from the assistant head teacher who's saying that after the weekend that the school's kind of a medical nursing bit ran out of the morning after pill. And the email says, you know, this is obviously slightly concerning.
But if they only had a supply of one to start off with, it might not take very long to run out of their supply.
But it's not what parents are hoping for, is it? When you send your kid to a 33,000 school, you aren't hoping that they will be...
Is this a girls' school?
It's a mixed school.
It's a mixed school.
Sixth form, it's a mixed school. Apparently, one of the kind of guiding spirits of the school is that pupils pursue their own enthusiasms. Apparently so. I mean, you know, I suppose the one thing is to say at least these girls are not just going and getting pregnant. One will wish they
also feel able to go to the school nurse or school doctor to get the pill, whereas you'd have thought that there would have been a certain matter of, certainly in my day, you would that's something you wouldn't have brought up with the school. You would have been ashamed or terrified of repercussions.
It's a boarding school, isn't it? Right. So presumably you don't have a GP, a local GP you could go to. That's your only hope, isn't it? But yes, they're obviously quite confident, these girls. But yeah, I hope as a parent I wouldn't be very happy. The Daily Star, Saatchi throttles Nigella.
This is bizarre, isn't it?
Charles Saatchi, Nigella's former husband, obviously a very famous art dealer, he has a website where people can sell their work on his website.
Right.
And he takes a quite hefty commission on that. There are a couple of pieces of work on his website that actually are depictions of the famous incident that led to the end of their marriage. And actually, I quite admire him because he hasn't taken them off the website. He said, you know, imagine if I tried to kind of censor this, the outrage there would have been, and kind of good for him in a way. So he's like, he hasn't painted them. Somebody else has painted them. I presume he will take
of course. 30% if they sell.
Yeah. And lastly, North Tyneside.
You don't think... you're quite... OK. I just thought one might say that the one could argue, and I'm not suggesting this is the case, that he might be taking a slightly perverted pleasure out of seeing these images posted online.
No, I think it was so damaging to his reputation. I think actually it's quite big of him to allow that. I mean, some people will be tempted just to...
It was a true
well,
story.
the photograph cannot be argued with. The reason for the photograph we don't know, do we?
Okay.
But certainly the photograph is documentary evidence or something that occurred. North Tyneside Council have issued leaflets put through people's doors telling children how to play outside. Now, on the surface, this sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But actually, when you read the story, a resident complained because there were kids playing outside in the street. And it wasn't just one kid, it was a whole group of kids. And when you put kids, I'm not quite sure how old these kids were, but a group of teenage kids, for example, can be quite intimidating in certain areas, and therefore the council decided to act by putting leaflets saying, you know, if you're going to play outside, please don't shout and scream, you know, please be polite, don't damage property, that kind of thing, which actually you would hope their parents would teach them. But I also remember when the house next door to me, when the moped in the front garden was set fire to at 3 in the morning, and I went downstairs and met the fire engine guys, and I said, what person would do this? And he went, kids. And I said, but surely they should be in bed. It's 3 in the morning. And he looked at me and went, not these kids, love. And that's the kind of kids you may be dealing with. So actually, we might say how ridiculous, but I don't think.
Okay, so you think those kind of kids are going to read the notice that's been put through their letterbox? I don't like the idea of those kind of kids, but no, but I do think at least the resident who complained feels that something perhaps is trying to be done, just to remind kids actually. You know, that actually you can't scream and shout and cause trouble to other people.
How many more signs have we got? Remember, no ball games allowed.
Yes.
No mopeds being taught.
But, you know, as a child, we were brought up in a terraced house as a child. Well, we're Welsh, so you're really kind of sort of, you know, inward looking. We weren't allowed to go, what I mean by that is, we weren't allowed to go in the garden and make any noise at all. At all, because that would upset the neighbours. And then, of course, we had a Greek Cypriot family move in next door who were kind of fabulously, you know, kind of continental, and there was lots of shouting. And, you know, we were aghast that a family was allowed to behave like that. It's a different culture.
Plate smashing,
There wasn't too much of that, but there was lots of shouting in kind of broken Greek,
Thank heavens for the golden arches in Croydon, is all I can say. It was like having a play-in centre you could go to every day. And they fed and watered you. It's fantastic.
Yeah, but going back to that, there's not a lot of youth centres and youth things.
First thing to close down in a recession.
So, and that's strong. That's one thing as Rough Copy we want to bring back, because when we were younger, we had all the play schools, youth centres. We went to holiday camps.
You grew up in the good times. You grew up in the good times.
There are holiday camps, but they cost.
A lot of money nowadays, and not many. Do you know what I mean?
No, you're right though. You're right. You know, give somewhere sort of focused places where young people can hang out and gets rid of half the problems, I'd have thought.
I agree.
Go on then, Lee, what have you got, Sam?
Starting off with The Guardian. In the Ukraine, have you noticed? No glasses.
Yes.
I've gone onto the multifocal, like a good self.
Yeah, so enjoying it.
Can't actually see. No, I can see. In good light. Basically in Ukraine, they've gone for this odd thing. They've got some problems, as we know, in Ukraine with Russian separatists, and they've gone into this odd thing where they've gone for crowdfunding.
Oh yeah, what do they want to buy?
Raise the money to pay for a drone.
All right.
To spy on the sort of the border where the Russian separatists, they believe, are getting their equipment from. I mean, the Russians are still claiming they're not backing the separatists.
Of course they're not.
Even though the separatists keep turning up with a tank. Because I don't know about you, you can get them on
Made
my
in
street
Russia.
as well, you know what I mean? And where did you get that Russian tank from? Oh, I just found it next door. But yeah, the country's trying to raise money for it. We're going to try and buy one. But
So
in the end,
crowdsurfing for drones.
yeah, crowdfunding, but they've gone crowd surfing.
Yeah, sorry.
You're stuck in Glastonbury, aren't you? That's what you are. But yeah, they were going to try and buy one originally, but in the end they've settled for a building one for 35k. $dollars, and but it was weird because they've been getting other equipment as well. They've been, like, villagers have been giving them bags of crisps and bottles of fizzy pop. There's an odd war they got going on there.
Ukraine troops and obesity crisis.
Yeah, absolutely. But the one that did make me laugh was they said that, you know, that some of their bulletproof vests are torn, and I'm thinking, how good were they? You know what I mean? Yeah, this will stop a bullet, but watch me do this. Like that, right? That's the last thing you want in a bulletproof vest.
It's just about it's going to be done through crowdfunding. It's just
yeah. It might be. You know, I mean,
at least I suppose there's a voluntary aspect to it.
There is
taxation, where, you know, a proportion of your taxes may be spent on renewing Trident.
There is the cynic in me that thinks, you know, it's a story they put out there to say, oh, look at poor little Ukraine. You know, I mean, they've got their problems with the Russians, and the Russians are. You've got Putin there, who's
kind of been eclipsed by ISIS.
Who's a lovely man, in case he's got an umbrella waiting for me. But anyway, moving on to the next one, we've got here. This is from The Sun. They reckon you need 40 grand to have a good family life. This is what they're saying.
Because I don't. You could. Is that's
it's so
across
arbitrary.
the nation? Because I think in London
just
town,
absolutely. It's got to depend on where you live. But they're saying £40,000. That's for 2 parents, 2 children to live. It's actually £40,574. Right? I don't know if that means if you've got 573, you're going, I'm really depressed. I'm just a pound short. But that's what they're saying, is that what you need, they reckon it's gone up since the recession from about 27 grand you needed back then.
That's a big jump.
But this is what people think they need for a good life.
Yeah.
Whereas the government knows you can feed an entire family on 10pence, doesn't it? So
Yeah,
it's,
well, if they went out in clean cars.
Yeah.
I just think...
Larry,
I'm joking.
because you being a London dweller, you'd accept that it is harsher for families in London than perhaps in some other
I think
areas.
in terms of having to, the housing costs alone in London are so massively inflated, London and the surrounding areas.
The southeast
that
area, isn't it?
I would have said,
Trouble.
I think 40 grand sounds an awful lot of money if you live in Dumfries.
Yeah.
Let's be honest
I'm
here.
assuming that's net as well, which means you'd have to...
I wouldn't
I'm
have said
assuming
that's
it's
net.
gross,
That's
I think.
gross.
you're
That's
assuming
gross.
gross.
I mean,
gross,
the average earnings are still under 30, aren't
Yeah.
they? So that would still be a lot more than a lot of people are earning.
Yeah.
But that's without tax credits and things. I mean, I know where that 40k would be if you didn't have to top it up with all your different tax credits and stuff. I mean, 40k is not a huge amount of money. If you've actually got to bring up two children.
So
and
they're saying this is the weekly spending. They're saying that a couple with 2 kids would spend £7.11 a week on alcohol.
Is that
with
all?
2 kids? I'd have thought it'd been a lot more than that.
Yes.
And that's just the kids.
Exactly.
What do they put down as a supermarket shop then? Have they put
For
that down?
shopping, household goods, household
I
services.
spoke to Ed Miliband, £8, something like that.
This is personal
104 for
goods
food,
and
isn't it?
Oh, they
services.
haven't
What
got
is
down,
that?
okay.
They don't seem to break it down. I mean, they've got water rates, council tax, stuff like that,
Yeah.
but clothing, £44.89 a week.
It's interesting, the headline in the Sun is what a family needs for a good life,
Yeah,
as opposed
yeah.
to just getting by life.
I was just about
I
to
think
say,
that's true.
out of all of them, I didn't see love, because you can't buy love.
Yeah, but if you're,
You're stealing other people's
but if
tunes
you're
now.
on a really low, let's say you're on, under 20k, which
Well,
a lot of families
I didn't come
and
from
you're a
a-
single parent, and love is fantastic, but when the council tax bill comes and you
No, of
can't
course,
pay it,
don't
love
get me-
will not pay that.
Don't get me wrong.
Have you thought about going to the council and just saying, I love you?
Don't get me wrong, but I
I'm
just
2
don't
months
believe-
behind, but I really
Do you know
adore
what I mean?
you.
Not many families. My mum didn't make 40k, but I still had a great time. Do you know what I mean? That's only because I've got a
I
big
hope that's
family
what my
as well.
children are going to say.
Okay,
know,
we've
so-
got to push on. Next
Okay,
couple
next
if
one.
we can.
This is from the Telegraph. Britain has asked America to end the ban on haggis. Apparently, since the 70s, 1971, America has banned haggis because they have a ban on sheep lung going into the country.
What is that, by the way?
It's like
It's a
everything
Scottish
inside a
sausage.
sheep put inside
It's
a
tasty,
skin.
delicious.
So it's everything in
Everything.
skin.
Yeah, it's basically you get
like a
a
giant
sheep,
sausage,
You get
really.
a sheep, you put it in a condom, effectively,
Okay.
and then you eat it.
Oh.
That's
It's
basically.
delicious. It's delicious.
But
Bit
it's
spice in
it's
there.
actually the ban on sheep lung, which obviously makes it very difficult if you're a
Sheep
sheep
lung.
that wants to go
This
to
is,
America.
this is
They
being read,
take it
isn't it,
out
as
of
a
you.
kind of sort of surreptitious way to try and curry favour with the Scots in
I kind of-
advance of the
Yes,
vote.
well
said.
If the British government can deliver a lifting of the ban on haggis,
that-
then think what they can do
that's
for
It's worth
everything.
millions of pounds a year that
It
they're
is,
talking
it
about.
is, but that could be an own goal in that way, because if you lifted that ban, then Alex Salmond say, look, now we've got all this revenue coming in as well, as an independent Scottish nation. So it could backfire. I did think that myself cynically at first, but then I corrected my thoughts on
did
it.
you?
When I was even more cynical. Next story, sorry about my mic there. Next story from The Times. If you want to get work done, head to a cafe.
Right.
And they're saying more and more people are doing work in cafes.
I've noticed.
And they've been dubbed coffeces by some, as
Right.
in coffee office.
Yeah, I see what they've
I
done
reckon
there.
that was probably dubbed coffeces by the writer of this story, because I've never heard that term used whatsoever.
It is. It's fascinating. I mean, it's very noticeable that the coffee shops around me are filled with people taking advantage of the free Wi-Fi. But why do you get more work done? I thought you got more easily distracted.
I would have thought so.
Buzzed up on caffeine, unable to concentrate.
Yeah. But then again, if you've got the option of sitting in the office, or your boss thinks if you're going to your boss, God, I get so much done in the coffee shop up the road. I mean, you're actually in the pub.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to sell that story to your boss, aren't you? In order to get out of the office.
One last one.
And the final one is we've got Andy Murray
Yay!
today. Andy Murray is playing a 6'8" tennis giant.
He's not far off
I know,
that
he's
himself,
about
is he, Andy?
I mean, he's about 6'4" himself, right? So he's got a whole 4 inches to contend with. I'll rephrase that, sorry.
I mean, I watched a lot of cricket where, a wickedly fast ball is in the 90-mile-an-hour plus. Apparently, this guy serves at 137 mile an hour.
Serena serves that.
Does she?
That's astonishing, isn't it? But yeah, he's 6'3". He's 6'3", Andy. So
Okay.
there's a 5-inch differential in the height. He's got him to play
How big's 5
today.
inches?
5 inches in metric, in old money. I'm not but anyway,
Should we take a break?
so he's playing tennis today, apparently.
And hopefully,
well, we're looking at the skies out there. He's not playing tennis.
He'll be playing. It's going to be a nice week this week.
I hope so.
Now then, after